Elminster's mysterious Drow apprentice. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there have been several books called Drow of the Underdark. The earliest one, the one I penned back for 2nd edition, the one that's got a matte black spiderweb cover on it, had a particular illustration in the introduction of Elminster sitting smoking his pipe, staring out at you. He was sitting on a rock on the edge of a pond. And in the pond was the head and shoulders of a semi-submerged, obviously unclad, Drow female holding up a wine glass and staring out at the viewer. And the introduction I wrote told everybody that this was Susprina Arkhenneld and didn't say much else other than that she was an apprentice of Elminster. So ever since, people have been asking. So now is your time to find out. Welcome to Elminster's mysterious Drow apprentice. Susprina Arkhenneld is the granddaughter of the Drow lich Calimar Arkhenneld, who is the master emeritus of the School of Enchantment and Charm in the Drow city of Shadowdale, and a former member of the ruling conclave. He resigned from both to devote himself to magical studies, tiring of politics and endless gossip and scheming. Calimar was born in the year 2 DR, and he didn't become a lich until 996 DR. In 994 DR, he wed Niarali Santruvel of Shadowdale, who had the wild talent of shape-shifting and was in danger of being slaughtered by her own kin as a monster. Their only child, Susprina, was born in 996 DR. When the Santrevels murdered and dismembered...
Hi, Ivan with Many Realms here, cutting in just to provide some quick context so you don't think Ed is completely morbid. He was laughing here because he was looking at me in our video conferencing software being visibly grossed out by the mention of the dismemberment. So anyway, back to it.
In 999 DR, and stuffed her head with Obliviax moss to successfully try to eradicate her beyond recovery, Calimar resolved to avenge her by hunting down and eradicating all of the Santrevels. To keep Susprina safe from them and to give her a new life, quote, aside from the Underdark and the sick race I am part of, a new road that could take her to brighter things, unquote, Calimar worked a mighty magic to put her into indefinite stasis, and he vanished from Shadowdale, allowing the Santrevels to destroy his residence and 3 clones of Calimar he'd left behind, and so fool themselves into thinking they'd wiped out the stain on their heritage and anyone who might speak for her or reverence her. Using utmost caution, stealth, and his arsenal of enchanted items, Calimar stole into the Citadel of Tomes, Candlekeep, from beneath, coming up into its crypts and catacombs with infinite patience and care, seeking to get past any barriers and alarms, and up into where he could access some of the hidden chambers where the Avowed kept powerful items and tomes in isolation. He managed it. A hard task, but not as hard as it would have been had Miriam the Sentinel Worm, then alive and bound to defend Candlekeep above ground and in the air by Torth, already been a ghost dragon tied to Torth's casket down in the catacombs. Calimar managed to place his daughter Susprina in a not yet used sealed chamber, in stasis of course, wearing a sash with the unsigned notation, "Disturb not the stasis, but deliver this greatest of treasures to Elminster Almar, chosen of Mistra, when he asks for it. If he is destroyed, then wait not, but deliver her to Kelvin Blackstaff Aronson. If he is no more, to another chosen of Mistra, so that the stasis be lifted and training in magic follow." Then Calimar returned to the Underdark as carefully and as undetected as he'd come, and set out to slowly and ruthlessly exterminate the entire Santravel family, making very sure he got them all. He managed it, though it took him just over 350 years. And then he went on another journey to the world above, the surface realms. Using his disguises, an accumulated arsenal of magic items, Calimar traveled to Shadowdale in the Dales to call upon an arch-wizard he'd long studied from afar, Elminster of Shadowdale. The man said to be a chosen of Mystra, goddess of magic, and what did that truly mean anyway? And even to have worked with a fellow chosen who was a female drow, the dark sister of the Seven Sisters, Kalue Veladorn. Calimar came to the door of Elminster's tower one stormy summer night in the late spring of 1352 DR and was astonished to be calmly and informally invited to sit in the most comfortable chair to chat, drink, and eat, though Calimar declined the food, and watch the storm sweep over the dale with its lightnings and rolling thunder. Moved nigh to tears by such kindness from a stranger, Calimar begged Elminster to listen to why he'd come, only to be dryly told that El figured he could guess. If you're enjoying this video, please leave me a like. Consider subscribing. If you want to be notified for the next video, please hit the bell icon. And if you want a steady stream of Realmslore, I'm on Patreon, Ed Greenwood on Patreon. Please go there, join, and consider becoming a protector of the realms, because your support is what makes these videos possible. Thank you. Ye need thy daughter raised by a mage ye can trust as much as ye dare trust anyone, in a place like this. She'd be that bundle ye hid in Candlekeep. Worry not, the avowed kept to thy instructions. I far-scried thy visit, unbeknownst to them. We watched, we chose. At that, Calimar broke down, and Elminster held him and comforted him like a father until the Drow lich recovered himself enough to say, "That is my need. I know it is too much to ask, and yet I will ask it. And I have brought all the enchanted items I own to offer in payment, because I have nowhere else to go. And I would ask even more of ye, that ye keep my daughter in the stasis I have put her in until ye deem the time right for her to walk this world." And Elminster smiled and replied, "I knew not how much longer ye would last with all that spell battling you've been doing. For her sake and thine, I wanted her to know her father. Come with me." And he led Calimar outside, as the tail of the storm passed rumblingly out of sight and left the night sky clear with dawn hinting to the east, to a spring-fed pond beside and behind the tower, where a drow lass was floating alone on her back, at ease. Susprina loves storms, was all Elminster said, as Calimar ran to the water, dumbfounded. The old mage then smilingly and silently withdrew to allow father and daughter to reunite in privacy. Calimar and the 17-year-old Susprina enjoyed an entire day and night of catching up, with no sign of Elminster or Leo, who'd been in hiding over at Storm Silverhand's farm since El seen Calimar's approach, but left food ready for him. During this time, Calimar learned from her that Elminster had awakened her 17 years earlier, in 1335 DR, raised her, and made her an apprentice. Calimar was impressed by the mastery of magic she'd achieved in what to him seemed a brief time, and intrigued by her soft-spoken, shy, and gentle manner, so different from the ice-cold and difficult manner cultivated by the Drow Shamath. Susprina also told her father firmly that "he has touched me not, though he is the worst flirt in all the Dales, and he did bed a silver she-dragon one night. I couldn't resist peeking, and he winked at me in the midst of it." She added that she now thinks that she-dragon was the symbol, and admitted to her father that she was terrified of the symbol, which Calimar dryly told her he thought it was very wise of her to be. Calimar got another smaller surprise when Susprina served him spiced wine from Shashamath's from her own private stock. "El gets it for me. He goes there himself in spell guise, and he picks me up spider sweets and roast shell shrooms and the latest fashions, even underclings." Later, Susprina took herself off to Storm Silverhand's farm. "She's teaching me sword work and styling my own hair with cantrips as well as combs. I thirst to master making my hair move to my bidding as hers does." And Calimar wept as he thanked Elminster, who told him he was always welcome at the tower, which had hidden rooms and passages below ground where there were seldom used bedchambers he could claim one of, and that he could and should visit whenever he desired. And he did, and he visits there still, which is one of the reasons, Storm and her harpers are another, that very few dare to venture within Elminster's tower when he's not around. Calimar and El have become firm friends, and the Drow Lich is a little in awe of how easily Elminster can see through or shrug aside enchantments and charms, and more in awe of the Weave Master powers and silver fire that El possesses. For her part, Susprina decided to hide her Drow nature from most humans and others as she dwelt in the surface realms. Her rare visits to Shishamath, mainly to buy at the Dark Weaving's Bazaar, though she had a good look around, not revealing her lineage to anyone, and even rarer glimpses of other Lolth-dominated Drow cities, made her firmly prefer the world above and its mixed society of the Heartlands to the always violent, scheming Underdark world of the Drow. Her father and a few Illustrae-worshipping Drow who betimes visit Storm Silverhand or Elminster on their travels are the only Drow she often has contact with. She has come to cherish her times with her father, which are often spent roasting a boar out behind Elminster's tower, with a sideboard of his wines and cheeses to hand. She's addicted to a cinnamon-flavored, soft to the point of being syrupy, and, note from me, when I say soft to the point of being syrupy, I mean sort of like runny peanut butter, okay? Cheese called Quelf that Calimar brought to her from the tiny Drow hold of Sristarl, also known as Spiderhunt, that's in the Upper Dark, almost directly above Blessed Sea Haven, and also beneath farms just inland from the south coast of Sembia. In her true form, Susprina is a white-haired, ruby-eyed, obsidian-skinned, fine-featured, and rather tall and slender Drow, who by nature is quiet and shy. Lithe and nimble, she has learned to fade back into the distance without attracting notice, and to be a good actress so she can play garrulous old woman, or her favorite, arrogant nobles or wealthy would-be nobles of Cormyr or Sembia. Storm even gave her a Cormyrian noble identity as Salvarona Immerdusk. So, the secret identity is Salvarona Immerdusk, an unmarried aunt of that family, and persuaded the current Immerdusks, who are led by the strong-willed matriarch Teresa Immerdusk, to accept her, and Teresa and Susprina have become fast friends. In the 1490s DR, Susprina Arkhenneld is a chaotic good Drow female wizard 16th level wizard, who wears a small, nondescript arsenal of magic items El has given her, or that she's crafted herself under his tutelage, or that she's gained in her adventuring. She even has an enchanted tattoo that she can use if she crosses it with her own blood. For example, slashing a blood-dripped fingertip entirely across it to teleport herself without error to the bedchamber El reserves for her under his tower. She walks her own way in the realms, no longer El's apprentice, but returning to him often for advice or just visits, or when she needs healing or solace. She's been unhappy in love, and currently is most attracted to Teresa Immerdusk, though she considers bedding someone who's her adopted relative somehow wrong. Susprina often makes common cause with the Harpers, but is a trusted ally rather than a member, and is welcome in Cormyr thanks to some missions she's undertaken for the War Wizards, though she's not a member of them either, and to her own surprise has found she wants to be in Shadowdale every harvest time in magical human disguise to sweat along with the locals to help bring in the harvest. It makes her feel she belongs. Increasingly, as her father grows more frail, his lich body breaking down over the years, despite his best enchantments, she worries about bringing him to Shadowdale and how he'll be accepted when his true nature is inevitably discovered, if she does. She increasingly turns to Storm Silverhand for advice when dealing with men romantically, and Storm increasingly throws her visiting trainee Harpers at Susprina to be bedmates, to get her over loneliness and randiness and feeling lovelorn. And so she forges a life which isn't as lonely as she feared it would be. She has homes in Shadowdale and in Cormyr whenever she wants them, and was fascinated, and a trifle frightened and overwhelmed, by Waterdeep on her lone visit there, though Laeral sought her out and took her to a night of dancing with the Drow of Illustrae in our deep forest that thrilled her, and then to a secret club in Castleward, the Smiling Mask, where Drow are wont to meet when in Waterdeep, where she got into a scrape with a male drow who mistook her for an old foe, but was rescued by Mert the moneylender, backed up, to her astonishment, by Elminster. She found herself rather miffed at the thought that the old mage was watching over her, but he used magic to share his thoughts with her, to show her he hadn't been, and she was not only reassured by that revelation, but frightened that such magic existed, and at the same time flattered and thrilled that he shared so much with her, and that she could herself see and trust his love for her. Susprina still looks young and sleek in her true form, but increasingly favors aged and doddering human personas when in disguise, as the reactions of others, including whether or not they respect old folk or seek to take advantage of infirmity and perhaps wandering wits, reveal so much about them. She can readily earn coin by casting spells for fees or making and selling scrolls, and always has enough to meet her daily needs, which is really all she wants. When she has need of horses or a coach or something of the sort, Elminster can and will provide. As she once ruefully observed, the old man is loaded. And if she needs tiaras or gowns, she can borrow Immerdusk finery, or better yet, call on Storm, who is taller and more muscular than Susprina, but has a lot of overlapping or pleated gowns that can contract without looking like someone carved them up. Her one weakness is boots. Susprina loves elegant, well-made, preferably pointed-toed, and high, thigh-high or at least over the knee. She now has enough coin to have skilled corvusers make them for her, and is slowly assembling a stable of suppliers from Sembia and the Moonseed to Waterdeep and Scornuvel and all points between. Susprina is also increasingly interested in crafting her own enchanted items and modifying existing spells to be more her. If her adventures allow her more time for such things in the years ahead, she'll take it. Yet for right now, she's still an adventuring wizard with powerful friends and allies. So, don't cross her. Welcome back to Realmspeak. And this time round, we're doing Firbolg or Firbolg. Either is correct. That type of gigantic creature is a Firbolg or a Firbolg. Either one is correct. If you look at the way it's spelled and try and pronounce it phonetically, you'll probably come out Firbolg, and that's okay. They're just going to hit you with a club anyway. It doesn't matter what you call it.